All right, thanks for tuning in. Here it is, the Week 12 Power Rankings. All right, starting off here with the Atlanta Falcons. They are 3-7, sitting at number 26, same spot as last week. They lost last week 20-34 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And after a promising season last year, the offense hasn't been up to par this year, averaging just 15 points per game this year. Maybe explains why some big names were available at the deadline. All right, we're going to look at number 32, Detroit Lions. They are now 0-10, 10 in a row they've lost. They lost last week 22-55 versus the Steelers, and the Lions haven't been competitive for most of the season. But on the bright side, they scored their season high in points last week. At number 31, you got the New York Jets. They are 1-9, lost 21-41 against the Buffalo Bills last week. That's 8 in a row now for the Jets, and they're having their worst season in Madden 19. However, they play the Patriots twice. They could be the reason the Patriots get in or get left out. At number 30, you got the LA Chargers, who are 2-8 after a forced loss, 22-24 against the Ravens. So another new user takes over for the Chargers after some scheduling issues. I wonder what his plans are as we approach the end of the season. At number 29, you got the Carolina Panthers. They are 2-8. They lost 16-45 against the New York Giants last week, and no one really knows what to expect week in and week out when it comes to the Panthers. They have all the weapons that they need, but they can't ever seem to finish down the stretch. At number 28, you got the Chicago Bears. They're sitting at 2-8 after losing last week 9-29 versus the Arizona Cardinals. Now, during their 5-game losing streak, they have averaged only 14.6 points per game. Moving to number 27, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're at 2-8, down 3 spots from last week after losing 0-44 against the Dolphins. They may have packed it in after losing 44-0 but last week against the Dolphins, but with as much talent that is on this team, they can still be a threat. And with every opponent left on their schedule jockeying for playoff position, they can be just another win, or they can play spoiler. We already talked about the Atlanta Falcons at 26. We're going to move to 25 to the Minnesota Vikings. They're sitting at 3-7, losing 17-27 against the Cleveland Browns last week. And this is a team that just can't seem to get out of their own way in games. They played all tough teams on their schedule close, but they've also lost games that many expected them to win. Now, with the playoffs out of the picture, what is the plan moving forward for the Vikings? Okay, now we take a look at the New York Giants. They are sitting at number 17. They won 45-16 against the Carolina Panthers. And after losing 35-0 against the Raiders, their offense and their defense has been on point with a 23.3 points per game differential and a 3-game winning streak. All right, moving over to the next group of teams in the power rankings. We're sitting at number 24. You got the Cincinnati Bengals. They're down 1 spot after losing 7-36 against the Denver Broncos. The Bengals are 1-5 since quarterback Dwayne Haskins went down with a broken collarbone. Looking at number 23, you got the New Orleans Saints. They're down 1 spot after losing 26-38 against the New England Patriots. Their offense has averaged over 33 points per game over the last 3 games, giving them a 2-1 record during that span. If they want to have a shot at winning the division, they will have to win out, which seems tough because they will play the Buccaneers, the Dolphins, the Cowboys, and the 49ers in their next 4 games. At number 22, you got the Denver Broncos. They are 3-7, up 5 spots this week after winning 36-7 against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Broncos could have been in the playoff race if a couple of breaks had gone their way. In their 7 losses this season, the average margin of defeat is 4.4 points per game. At number 21, you got the Houston Texans. They're sitting at 3-7, down 1 spot, losing 27-33 against the Tennessee Titans. Now, the overtime loss last week hurt because they had a fake punt executed on them to set up the overtime touchdown. They have the offense to score some points and maybe knock off a team looking to make a playoff run and spoil their chances at getting in. At number 20, you got the Baltimore Ravens sitting at 4-6, up 1 spot after a forced win against the LA Chargers last week, 24-22. They have come on late, winning 3 of the last 4 games. During this stretch, their defense has been better, although not great. At number 19, you got the Kansas City Chiefs. They're at 4-6. They lost 20-28 against the Oakland Raiders. Now, they've lost 4 of the last 5 after winning 3 of the previous 4. It's been a lot of ups and downs this season for the Chiefs. At number 18, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sitting at 6-4 after winning 34-20 against the Atlanta Falcons. They are undefeated so far in divisional games, and with 3 division games left, it looks they can lock in this division very soon. And we already talked about the New York Giants at number 17. Now, number 13, you got the LA Rams. They are 6-4, up 1 spot from last week after winning 31-26 against the Green Bay Packers. Now, that's 3 in a row for the Rams, who are at the bottom of the toughest division by far. However, he only has 1 divisional game remaining this season and plenty of opportunities to get back into the playoff conversation. All right, so moving into the top half of the power rankings, you got Washington Redskins at 5-5, sitting at number 16, down 3 spots after losing 30-42 against the Cowboys. Now, their 4-game winning streak comes to an end in blowout fashion. With Trevor Lawrence out, can Alex Smith lead the team to the playoffs? At number 15, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers sitting at 6-4, up 1 spot after winning 55-22 against the Detroit Lions. They've won every other game this season except for a 2-game winning streak during weeks 8 and 9. They have a real chance at getting a wildcard spot, but they have to find a way to get on a bit of a run late in the season. At number 14, got the New England Patriots. They're 6-4, up 1 spot after winning 38-26 last week. They're 0-3 against teams with winning records this season. If they plan to break into the playoffs, they will have to win those games down the stretch. Talked about the Rams already at number 13. At number 12, you got the Tennessee Titans sitting at 6-4 after winning 33-27 against the Texans in overtime. They played every game, or every team, really tough this season. Maybe call it playing up and down to the level of their opponents. They have an easier path to the playoff with only 2 teams remaining on their schedule with a winning record and splitting the division leader, Indianapolis Colts. At number 11, you got the Philadelphia Eagles sitting at 6-4, down 2 spots after losing 23-54 against the 49ers last week. There was a lot of promise heading into the season. Even with the tough schedule, expectations were high. But at this point, it's becoming do or die with the chance to take back control of the division this week. At number 10, you got the Arizona Cardinals sitting at 7-3, up 1 spot from last week. They won 29-9 against the Bears. Over the last 4 games, the quarterback, Julian Love, has 4 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. With one of the toughest remaining schedules, including 4 potential playoff teams, he has to be better to take his team to the playoffs. And sitting at number 9, you got the Seattle Seahawks, 7-3, down 3 spots after losing 10-30 against the Indianapolis Colts. They averaged 29 points per game over their first 7 games and were 6-1 during that time. Over the last 3 games, they've averaged only 13 points per game and are 1-2 during that span. As good as their defense is, their offense needs to be better. All right, now let's focus on the Dallas Cowboys, who are sitting at number 8. They're 8-2 and up 2 spots after winning 22-23 against the Redskins last week. They sit in an unfamiliar position as the top team in the division after destroying the Redskins, who had beaten them earlier in the season. Next week is another revenge game against the Eagles, who destroyed them just last week. Now to the top half of the division. We already talked about the Cowboys at number 8, moving to number 7, up 1 spot. You got the Miami Dolphins, who are 8-2 after winning 44-0 over the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. Now, when rookie quarterback Fields went out with a rib injury, panic spread in Miami, but quickly vanished as Lewarke filled in beautifully against the Jaguars. At number 6, you got the Indianapolis Colts, 8-2, up 1 spot, winning 30-10 against the Seattle Seahawks. Their defense has been excellent as of late. Over the last 4 games, they've given up under 10 points per game on average, much better than over 35 points that teams average against the team in the first 6 games. Number 5, you got Green Bay down 3 spots after losing 26-31 against the LA Rams. The Packers' offense really hasn't been clicking lately like we're used to seeing. Last week, Aaron Rodgers didn't even throw a touchdown and threw for less than 200 yards in a loss. Is age catching up with him? All right, number 4, you got the San Francisco 49ers up 1 spot after beating the Philadelphia Eagles 54-23. Something must have clicked in San Fran. They're averaging just under 55 points per game over their last 3 games and could have even scored more. They haven't scored less than 34 points this season since week 6. At number 3, you got the Buffalo Bills. They are 8-2, up 1 spot, winning 41-21 against the New York Jets. And during their 4-game win streak, they have averaged a 25.5 point per game differential. At number 2, you got the Cleveland Browns winning 27-17 against the Vikings last week. And during Baker Mayfield's 2-game suspension, the offense averaged 147 passing yards per game. Now, with Baker Mayfield, they averaged 244 passing yards per game. Luckily, he's back for next week's big game against the Green Bay Packers. At number 1, you got the Las Vegas Raiders sitting at 9-1. They won 28-20 against the Kansas City Chiefs. However, since the injury to Amari Cooper, Drew Brees has thrown 1 touchdown and 4 interceptions. He's expected to be out a remainder of the season, so it's going to have to learn to adjust if they want to get a first-round bye. All right, for my game of the week this week is going to be the Seattle Seahawks against the Arizona Cardinals. And in the toughest division basically this season, both teams are vying for playoff positioning. You got the LA Rams 6-4, both of these teams at 7-3, and the 49ers are 8-2. So effectively losing this game could actually move you out of the playoffs, but winning this game could still give you a chance at first round bye. So a lot of things are at stake in this game. So game of the week, Arizona Cardinals, Seattle Seahawks. Arizona got to get that passing game going, getting Julian Love comfortable. And same thing for the Seattle Seahawks. They need to get their offense going if they plan on winning this game as well. All right, starting off in the NFC, the playoff situation is extremely confusing. Well, you got 2 8-2 teams. You got the Green Bay Packers there at 8-2. You got the 49ers there at 8-2. But you got 3 7-3 teams. So right now, there's no really clear picture on who is going to get that first round bye. Anybody can get it. You got 2 7-3 teams sitting at the 5 and the 6 spot. Now you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are in a good position to win that division, sitting at 6-4. But looking at the teams in the hunt, you got the Eagles, who are also 6-4, the Giants at 6-4, the Rams at 6-4, the Redskins at 5-5. So there's a lot of things that can happen in this division moving forward. Redskins can turn around and beat the Cowboys can beat the Eagles can beat the Cowboys, the Cardinals and the Seahawks, that can go either way. The 49ers can lose maybe a game or two. The Packers can lose some non-divisional games and find themselves out of the first round bye. All right, so in the AFC, things are a little bit more clear, but not much. You got 2 teams at 9-1. You got 3 teams at 8-2. All right, so the top seeds in this conference are not really settled, and looks like they won't be settled until late in the season. With the Raiders still have a game against the Colts coming up. The Bills, I believe, play the Colts. The Browns play the Bills, I believe, later on in the season. So there's a lot of things that can happen, and plus the Dolphins and the Bills are in the same division. The Titans right now looking at that 6-4 spot in that last wild card spot, but the Patriots can get it, the Steelers can get it, and the Chiefs have an outside chance of sneaking into the playoffs, but they need a lot of things to go their way. All right, thank you for tuning in to Week 12. I'll see you again in Week 14.